This is day 61 through 70, and my husband had taken me to a spa, and it was just so relaxing and it was so nice. And of course, the spa is all about water and just water everywhere. So as we were sitting in our robes and having a little glass of Prosecco and just enjoying some of the heat and some of the smells and the sounds, I brought my art supplies, and while my husband read, I did some art and a little bit of collage. So again, it's really nice to have some quick, easy materials to bring with you. So traveling has been a really kind of a fun way to add some limitations and but also kind of document and record the time. So I really like that. This is some Helleborus or some Lenten rose, again from my mother's garden. I feel like this got a little muddy. It's very, very textured, and so I think this would actually really work well with some actual heavy body paint. All of the materials I was using for the texture that's actually on here, it was just a little too rough, and it was hard to get some of the real strong contrasts that I wanted. This one was from my mother's house. She had a beautiful bouquet of calla lilies, and I am in love with this. I love the shape, the movement. I actually like the geometric next to this really organic, and some of this bright yellow green next to that dark blue purple. So this one just, I don't know, it really speaks to me and not something I would typically do or get drawn to. So it was a really nice surprise. This one, this is some wet strength tissue paper that I used some molding paste, and I thought I would try a little experiment with it and see how that would work. These were some white flowers that were growing on a tree. So I kind of like it, and it's definitely something very different that I haven't tried, but it gives it such a different look. And then I used some, I think it's, what is it called? I think I have it right here. I'm trying to think of the name of the pencil, but it's I think it's from General, and it's a water-soluble graphite that when it gets wet, it actually becomes permanent. So I used some of that in here too, which I hadn't really used a lot of. This one, I was working with a very different technique, and it's glossy because in order for this technique to work, you have to have a smooth surface. So I used some gloss medium first, then I used some acrylic inks and some alcohol, which creates this really interesting, beautiful textured effect in the background. And then for this dogwood this time, I used some wet strength tissue paper that I had stained, and then some more acrylic pens. So this one has a lot of gloss to it, and that's why. But I like the result of it, and you'll see that kind of come back in later on. Not loving this. I feel like the background is just too like polka dotted. Even though I tried to, it's just too much of the same, and there's just not enough differences back in there. So not in love. Back into when I am a little bit stuck or when I need to work a little bit more quickly, sometimes just a great doodle will do it. So using up some of my papers for my travels, and there's some golds in there. So I really love the movement, the composition, and the way it kind of flows. I think I used some of that in the background, but this is much, much too fussy. And the flowers really get lost. So that's something that I would go back in and kind of play with and push. Same thing with this one. This background is just ridiculously out of control. The flowers are nice, but the background is definitely not working. And I think the same thing kind of happened here. But you know, until you try it, you don't always know. This is actually the negative space. And this was, when I was getting a little stuck, actually, now that I'm looking at this, I remember now. Yeah, these were, these three actually were in response to, I went to a dinner party and I was starting to get stuck because I'm more than halfway through now. And my young friend Marco, he took one of my pages and he added some marks and things to it, and then I had to respond to it. So that's where that came from. And then this one was his brother, and he did all of the marks, but I did not respond to them well. So that's what was happening here. And then this was my good friend Mary, and she did some amazing things, and I really like how that's coming through here. I don't like how I responded to it 100%, but I think it needs a little more contrast maybe over in here. Maybe I should have used a little bit more of this kind of pink. So something I'll go back and work into, but it is a great way to collaborate, to have some friends make some marks and you have to respond to them. So that was a great way to kind of keep me going as things got a little tough at this point, a little bit fatigued.